To be Pro with Wipro. Welcome all the participants, our partners, and our wonderful jury to the grand finale of our Pro Challenge. I'm Prachi, I'm Director Recruitment Marketing at Wipro, and also your host for today. Joining me is Sam, who all of you know. So Sam, maybe a quick hello from you as well, while we've all heard from all of us already. Before we get started, I'd like to extend a special thanks to our jury for giving us their valuable time. And here's a quick introduction for all our participants. We have with us today Ajay Bhaskar, who's Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer at Wipro. Ajay oversees corporate strategy and change and transformation function. He brings over 25 years of rich experiences in roles ranging from corporate strategy, M&A, innovation, sales and business development, and supply chain. Ajay is an engineer in controls and instrumentation and has an MBA from the founding batch at the Indian School of Business. Thanks for being here today, Ajay.
Thank you. Thanks, Prachi. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Moving on to Sameer Gadgil, Vice President, Human Resources at Wipro, currently working as Head HR Chief Growth Office and Corporate Functions. Sameer is a seasoned professional with nearly 22 years of experience and has worked with the best-in-class manufacturing, consulting, financial, and IT services companies. He did his BE Mechanical from Mumbai University and his Master's in Personal Management from the Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Pune. We are very excited to have you with us, Sameer.
Same here. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. And last but definitely not the least, Sohini Mehta. She's a senior leader with us with over 2 decades of industry experience in the area of technology and process consulting. She has managed large strategic customer engagements and has been instrumental in many successful client acquisitions and integration. In her current role, Sohini is the Global Delivery Head for DesignIt, a design-led experience innovation company, part of the Wipro family. She holds a master's degree in computers. It's a pleasure to have you join us today, Sohini. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And now a quick recap. Sorry, go ahead, please.
No. I'm really excited to be part of this.
Wonderful. Thanks once again. And a quick recap while all of you know what Wipro is, but Wipro is our first ever recruitment challenge designed exclusively for the top business schools in India. We identified the top 30 B schools in India because we knew that the students there would be able to do justice to the challenges we had in mind. And yes, the journey was indeed challenging. And today is the final day when we crown our winners. Not only will they win glory and some incredible prizes, they will also go home with pre-placement interviews with Wipro. And you know what that means. Some of these participants could very well be our colleagues before long. With that, let's begin. Good luck to all the finalists. And just before we hand over the mic to the finalists, I'll invite Rahul Bhattacharya, who leads MBA hiring at Wipro. And the mic is now with you, Rahul. Thank you and all the best again.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Prachi. Thanks for the introduction. So just all of you who are here new and maybe attending this for the first time, just a quick recap of the entire thing which we had till now. We started off with close to 5,000 people expressing interests for the entire process. We got registrations for over 2,500 people for the MCQ round. We shortlisted close to 279 people from them and divided them into 93 teams of 3 each. You have submitted your case studies. We selected the top 40. They went through evaluations, and today we have the top 5 teams for the finale. Now, each one of you have gone through different complexities. We added on, the teams from different colleges. You had, complexity in your case studies. So all of you have gone through a lot of challenges and you have all come through. So here are our top 5 finalists, and I wish them best of luck for the next few minutes.
All right, giving it up for the top 5. Coming up first, and Sam, I'm sure, is heading to the next page as we see there 5 for the last lap. Coming up first is Team Agastya. Rishabh and Nitish, take it over from here, please.
Thank you, ma'am. So shall we start presenting?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'll do that.
Sam, I see myself in the spotlight. Yes.
I hope my screen is visible on the full screen mode.
Yes, Nitish, it is visible.
Perfect. So thank you, jury and Wipro team for this opportunity. We are Team Agastya, and our vision for Internet for Bharat for the next billion is what we would like to present before you on behalf of Sonia Naidu of Witsoft. So the rationale behind our business idea is that our country is a very diverse group with 1600 dialects and at least 30 languages with at least 1 million plus native speakers. So how do we define Indian language user? That's where we start. That's where we'll start with. So somebody who prefers to use their primary language over English to read and write and converse with each other is how we define Indian language user. So the growth that we have seen in this is from 42 million in 2011 to 536 million in 2021. So that's more than 10 times in a decade. If we look at if we compare that to the English language users, it's almost 2.5 times, and is growing at almost 6 times at 18% compared to 3% for English language internet user growth. And local language users find it the content to be more reliable if it's in their local languages. And according to a KPMG report, 90% of the new internet users in our country are expected to be local language users. So we are on a rocket ship here. So the most important part for any digital marketer on online content is engagement. So rural people who are more likely to use Indian languages or local languages spend almost 11% more time, or urban people spend 10% lower time while using these internet applications. So that is the rationale behind the numbers that we have. Why is that happening is also important to know, so that we know where we are coming from and what can be the pitfalls. So the geo internet revolution resulted in 96% drop in mobile data prices, which resulted in higher penetration. Moreover, government's digital literacy push as well as rising disposable income is something which is making the internet space in our country more exciting. And the numbers indicate massive potential for Witsoft. And with our IT experience, we have an opportunity to have a great product synergy. We'll talk about why government and BFSI existing clients are important for us in the later slides. So what we believe we have as an added advantage over semiconductor business is synergy and the ability to leverage our existing clients who might be willing to get into using the local language products that we'll be building. But let's have a very quick look at what the semiconductor journey for a country has been like. So Bell started with a fab 30 years ago in India, but since then we have been mainly focused on chip design, and we have brilliant engineers in our country for that. And AMD's latest chips, which has helped it to tackle and get back the market from Intel, have been designed by some of the engineers in our country in Bangalore. But at the same time, setting up a fab, as was there in the case, will require at least 10x Witsoft's annual revenue based on a report. Moreover, China's experience after expending $450 billion in this initiative have been a failing one, because it's a winners takes all game, and a lot of fabs in the world are at loss or just making 2% margins over the overall revenue. And that's the top 10 we are talking about. So it also requires recurring cash flow. The leaders, fab leaders, TSMC and Samsung plan to invest $100 to $150 billion, and they need to do this every 3 to 4 years. And also, it's a very water-intensive process and has environmental consequences. So implementation plan for our idea for Witsoft Online, that's a product road. This is the product roadmap that we have. We plan to start not as a search engine, but as a news aggregation site. Why is that? Because as NYT aptly puts, Google and Facebook, no matter how much they want to deny it, they are media companies masquerading as tech companies. So media is a particular sector that they have disrupted, and that's where we will start as a news aggregator. Then we'll push to video aggregation, payment services, and investment services, especially for Bharat in local languages. Because in our country, only 4% of people invest in stock markets and mutual funds, and that needs to go up. And only Bharat's participation into that will help that cause. Messaging and chat is added complement, and e-commerce, social commerce, and peer-to-peer commerce is something that will push into. Eventually, this entire suite will have local language searching and voice-based search. This is our brief roadmap, and that I've already covered. And the value proposition will be web-based search content in native languages, e-commerce and banking in native languages, native voice searches, leveraging the government client that we already have, and the other aspects, key partners, key activities, and everything will be covered in the coming slides. So this is the marketing challenge that Rishabh will take over.
Thank you, Nitish. So next slide, please. Yeah, so this is our product offerings, which Nitish has already talked about. So we'll start out as a news aggregator, and then we'll go into different other platforms like a video aggregator platform, and then we'll license our content to other third-party clients like third-party banks and e-commerce players. So next slide. So regarding the search market in India, so Google dominates the market with 98% of the market share, and the rest of the players are fighting within the 1.2% of market share. And regarding the pricing model, so in a survey conducted by Android Central, 68% of the participants, they agreed that they wanted a freemium model. So next slide. So regarding that, we have also tried to go with the freemium model, like we are giving the choice to the users to use the services for free, and they can also use our services as a paid option by paying some subscription cost without the need to see ads, and we'll also give the licensing fees to our clients. Regarding some challenges, so there are some challenges like the market size. So we are focusing on the top 8 local languages, but the other languages like which are not that known, we are not focusing on that. But the problem is that the volume of population speaking those languages are very less, so the market size is also very less. Next slide. And the main core product of our is the natural language processing architecture, and it is a very resource intensive architecture. It requires a lot of processing power and memory bandwidth, and also high development time. Next slide. Also, there are certain challenges in the processing of Indian scripts, like some drop characters are used, which can cause problem to the NLP architecture to read it. Next slide. And every local language had its own characteristics, like there are certain slangs and certain phrases which the machine needs to understand. It needs to understand the context of the speaker's conversation. Next slide. And also we need good training programs in India to make the people digitally literate, especially in the rural areas. Next slide.
Team Agastya, your time is up. So
sir, can I take just 1 minute more to run through it?
yeah, sure.
Yes, so here we have compared our product to the competitors, and you can see that we have tried to add the value proposition of our competitors into our product. Next slide. And so the challenge which I mentioned just now, to solve that, we can focus on launching our own browser, where we can also integrate our news aggregator service, and our competitor has also launched its own browser, so that will be an advantage. We can also leverage our news aggregator service to train our NLP model more better. Next slide.
So I'll quickly run through the financial plan. So this is the conventional financial plan. These are the advertisers and government clients that I've already mentioned are something that Vissoft already has, and they can be leveraged to push our platform. But what is more important, this is a conventional financial plan, but what I believe is more important for an internet facing business is these figures. So YouTube, which was launched in 2005 by 3 PayPal employees, had 2 million videos per day and 20 million monthly active users by end of that particular year only. So catching the eyeballs is something which is important for internet facing businesses.
Team Agastya, your time is up.
So I'll just wrap in 10 seconds. So it was acquired by Google that next year for 1.65 billion, even before profitability was in sight. And last quarter in this year, 2021, they made $7.2 billion. So these are MAUs of various online only websites which are challenging existing businesses like InShots and Daily Hunt are challenging Times Group. And even Times Group is pushing for internet-facing businesses. So if we have very conservative estimates of commission or margin per user, these are the numbers that we are looking at. So that is something that I want the jury and the board to take a look at, because eventually monetizing the eyeballs is what internet companies are all about, and being on the internet is essential for any business, digital or non-digital, to survive in the future. And HR plan for any product innovation, I would like the jury and the board to have a look at the Netflix product innovation plan, which have these 7 values. Most important of that is that value should not be something written on a board, but something that people live and breathe about. And a product innovation based team should have all these particular parameters that I mentioned. I think my time is up.
Great. Thank you, Team Agastya. Great thinking and great work. So congratulations for being here today. And just a quick reminder for everyone, going forward, we're going to give a 5-minute reminder buzz. Rahul or Sam are going to just intersect for a second and remind you guys that 5 minutes are over, so you can plan for the next 2. But reminding all of you to please stick to your time limit. Otherwise, we are going to go over time overall. But thanks again. And
Thank you,
moving on
Jury.
to our next team. Yeah, good job. Thanks, Team Agastya. Our next team coming up.
Prachi, just a quick question. Do we get an opportunity to talk to the team and
Yeah,
ask some questions, or does that happen in the end?
Actually, we can do Q&A immediately after the presentation.
Okay, great. So we're gonna open the Q&A immediately after. So Ajay, please go ahead and ask your question for the team.
Okay, no, I'll check with Samir and Shoini if they have any, and then I'll go after them. Otherwise, I can.
So one point which
Yeah.
I had was on the marketing plan, because yeah, I heard you mention that catching eyeballs in the initial period would be a very critical aspect, because any mobile phone, any app that we get, or even desktop that we get, have by default a Chrome or a Bing which are installed in it. So if you are talking about having your own browser, how are you going to ensure that people even get that in the first place, and they don't have to download a separate thing? What is the marketing plan? What kind of ideas you have to really take it to people and create a demand?
So, sir, regarding our own browser, so as we know, as you have said that we will start off as a news aggregator service. So the people who are using our news aggregator service will promote our browser on that service, so that people can move from using our news aggregator service to the web browser. And in our web browser, we'll also integrate our service within that browser, so that it is of use to the users.
So if I can take that, take that ahead. So I would like to suggest that a particular browser which is oriented towards local languages is something which is a technical problem which is not yet solved. So just translating English text into Hindi, that we have already some of which us might already be aware of, doesn't result into the best of user experience. So here we are not talking about just incremental improvements. We plan to, and this is a budding thought, that it will take a while to build a UI which is not just a translation or a morphing of an English UI, which is easy for English user to use, but building a complete UI which people in various languages can use. So it's customized and it's focused on that, because that's our niche and that's where we are planning to invest in time and effort on. So while we are going from 0 to 1 here, building something new, that is going to be our USP, and that is something that we're going to push people to work with, and building that customized UI for that particular dialect and that particular script is something that we'll like to market and advertise and eventually monetize on.
Okay.
So, Shoini, you have a question? I had a couple, but you can go ahead. If you want.
Go ahead. I just wanted to ask, have you looked at the various risks that you anticipate, and have you covered that anywhere?
So we have not made any slides for risk, but yes, a competition from a Goliath like Google is something which is our major risk. Google already has this local language support platform, though it's not their primary focus. Moreover, Ministry of Electronics and IT also have their own language supports for various languages that they provide, as it is more of a research platform at current moment, but can be productized at a later stage if the government wants to. So these are some of the major competitions that can come in. Also, because we are building a product ecosystem, and in each segment there are already existing players, albeit not their focus is on local languages. So each and every major player in each and every segment is a major risk for us.
Okay, thank you.
See, I had a very different fundamental question, guys. Since we're talking about this company, Vissoft, they are into services today, IT services, right? And the recommendation you guys have is to move to a search platform kind of a business, which is very different from what Vissoft is known for, capabilities they have, etc. So how do we manage the risk of moving into a completely different business and business model from what they do today?
Right.
Have you thought about that a bit?
Yes, sir. So our understanding of the existing scenario was that we are an IT company with already software development capabilities in-house. We are running various infrastructure services as well for various clients. So we have that also figured out. So using this service experience and knowledge and synergizing it to a product experience will be an easier path for Vitsoft compared to entering into a completely new field, that is hardware. So based on that, we decided to take up this challenge. And now to do well in this challenge, there will be multiple issues and challenges that we'll face, especially building a product after a service. So that's why there's this Netflix HR plan that we came across, which is famous for product innovation. And it was also a default case study that we study at business schools. So in that, we want to build a culture in which people are not supervised or told to do something, but are empowered to do their own thing for product innovation. So as Mindtree is working under R&Ds as a separate entity, something like that we want to build a separate division in Vissoft, which will have a product innovation culture and utilize various synergies and existing experience of the IT service business, which just a new startup cannot have.
And
Okay.
also taking it ahead from here. So as Vissoft is already in the software business for long, so it has its right talent inside. So it can utilize that in creating that product, and we don't need to look outside to hire any other talent. So we have that talent and we can use that. So I don't think developing a product because it is very similar to the product we have been developing for our clients who are in the software business. So it would not be that much of a problem.
The only point I leave, I'm not expecting a response, is that our IT services industry is almost $200 billion, but none of those companies really are product companies.
Yeah,
Right?
actually,
So
they are not.
So this is, yeah. So they've not built products. They've not built platforms like Google, and probably there are many reasons because why that's not work for the industry.
Yes, sir. Like IT services company, they might have not built products, but they have built small products which are used by its clients. Like for example, banking services. There are many products which have been built which are used by the clients globally to utilize to fulfill their requirements.
And even TCS,
Yes.
Tata Group, Tata Sons, which are famous for TCS, which is their cash cow, are right now pushing for Tata Neu, which is their attempt towards a product, which is essential as more and more people come online and offline businesses get disrupted. So it's a massive opportunity in a country like ours with rising per capita incomes. And as predicted by many analysts, once we hit the $4,000 GDP per person mark, there can be a massive consumerist cycle that will start in a country, and Bharat should also be included in that because that's related to our CSR initiatives as well, this particular project. So that's where our hearts are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. I have the
Thank you.
not so pleasant job of being a timekeeper. So just reminding all of you that we'll have a reminder for each team at 5 minutes. Overall time 7 minutes, and then 5 minutes for Q&A with the jury. And thanks, jury, for the invigorating questions. Moving on to the next team, please. Team Millennium Falcon, take it over, please.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. I'll just share my screen. Please let me know once it's visible.
Yes, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team Millennium Falcon, and today we are going to present on how Vissoft can set up semiconductor manufacturing in India. We chose Vikram's vision in the case because of the presence of a strategic match in emerging market landscape, core competency of Vissoft, and government incentives and support in setting up fabs in India. So during our research, we found that the value chain of the semiconductor industry is highly integrated among certain countries with rapid growth across the markets where semiconductors are supplied to. Moreover, the data processing and communications accounted for almost 65% of the sales, with 5G, IoT, and autonomous mobility being the major industries which will require semiconductor use in the next few years. India also faces a semiconductor demand which will increase 20% year on year. But this demand of $15 billion right now is 100% imported, which sort of presents a huge opportunity in the domestic market itself for fabs to be set up in India. Moreover, currently India lags very far behind in fab facilities, but with government schemes and policies, a company can achieve break even in 4 to 6 years for 10 to 16 nanometer chips, which we will see later on. We also saw various threats to entry barriers, supplier and buyer power. With large players in the market, there is an increase in market rivalry. Also, since the suppliers are less, the switching cost rises as the choice of available player decreases. So that is also a major factor to get into the business.
Coming to the challenges and risk, there is a huge financial challenge in terms of entry barrier, as setting up cost is 5 to 7.5 billion for an entire fabrication module. Then it requires almost $4 to $50 million for purchasing the single production equipment. HR challenges are there are recruitment challenge, training challenge, and talent management challenge, which we can face going ahead. Market challenges, as we have seen, there is a lot of uncertainty due to high dependence, saturation of competition due to few players, which controls majority of market, and multiple segments which are present, which required separate specific skill sets. Next slide, please. Coming to technological challenge, we require a very high-end world-class machineries. Also, high-scale R&D cost is there, and competition, which is very steep. Coming to risk which are involved, it includes a regular annual investment, high failure risk, learning curve effect, and surplus fab capacity, which would be there. Next slide. Coming to the supply chain part, like the global supply chain is very much complex, as every single facilities which required or a component which required for semiconductor manufacturing, they are imported, or we are dependent on various countries for that. So this makes the overall supply chain very complex and includes a huge amount of time for delivery. We have also designed a technological roadmap which includes the 10 steps which are required for semiconductor manufacturing, and we have included the details in appendix. The lithography is the major technology which we require, and it also includes a very high cost. Next slide. We will switch to recommendations now, and we are recommending Vissoft to initially begin cheap semiconductor manufacturing, semiconductor designing for first 2 years, because we suggest this because the joint venture requires a very large amount of time, like approximately more than 1 year to come up to terms and conditions. So during this time, we can set up the in-house designing facilities. Also, some of the reasons to back this up is like India have a very high skills in semiconductor design. some of the major companies like Samsung and Intel, they have designing facilities and R&D facilities in India, so we can tackle up this challenge and set up the designing facilities quickly. This will also help us to help Vissoft to become 360-degree semiconductor manufacturing house and improve our value chain. Going ahead in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, we will suggest to go with a joint venture with some of the established manufacturing firm. With that, we will also get the technological expertise which we lack in India for semiconductor manufacturing. Yeah, next slide, person. To back this up, like we have the category demand share. We have figured out that communication, computer, consumer, and automobile industries have a good demand share in the Indian market. But we would like to go with automotive industry first, as most of the manufacturing in India is in automotive sector, and this will help us to generate Indian demand. Next, we will go to communication. Coming to value proposition, like Vissoft have a long presence in Indian market. This gives us cultural advantage, expertise in software development, efficient management, and excellent brand value. Now, Prasun will take the financials.
2 minutes to go.
Sure, sir. So coming to the financials, we're focusing on 10 to 16 nanometer chips, and given the substantial investment for one module, we estimate that the investment to be around $7.5 billion. To raise such a large amount, we suggest on using around 20 to 25% of cash, from Vissoft, which has a PAT of $1.15 billion as of now, and utilizing as much government subsidy as possible, which is up to $1 billion. And this is because of higher fab utilization early on, which gives us the opportunity to break even early on as government subsidy increases. This has been suggested by a report from McKinsey. We also propose that the current debt, which is around 37%, the debt to value ratio, be increased to 50%, which is a feasible amount, and raise close to $1 billion through debt. And this debt can be raised at lower cost due to the government incentives for semiconductor companies. Rest of the investment can be raised by the JV firm to account for a 50-50 partnership in the entity. Coming to the revenues, we expect that we will acquire around 10% of the market share in chip design, as well as 5% of the market share in chip manufacturing, to have a revenue of around close to $2 billion in the next 5 years in the Indian market.
So coming to choosing the right location for the factory setup. So there are 5 major points, crucial points which we should keep in mind. First is the water availability and access, electricity access and availability of cheap and skilled labor, transport facilitation, and support scheme and incentives from the local government. So after considering these 5 broad elements, we have come up with a decision to set up a factory in central Gujarat. So basically the reasons, Prasun, if you can move to the next slide. So the reasons, as you can see on our slide, so basically on the 5 of the parameters, Gujarat government has done a brilliant job in keeping up a healthy environment to start up a new venture in the state of Gujarat. So in terms of water, it is 7th in terms of available water resources, and has one of the highest groundwater resources in the country. So government has been taking multiple steps to boost water availability to industries. They have also started. Okay, so after evaluation of these 5 elements, we have come up with that location will be Gujarat. And so next slide, Prasun. So to tackle water uncertainty, we target that we will recycle our ultra pure water, but up to 25% within 3 years of operations. We can use techniques like automated wet benching systems, which will help us to reduce and recycle our ultra pure water systems. And that is an excellent return on investment. So another is power uncertainty. So Gujarat government has been given certain initial subsidies and incentives for setting up sustainable power generation. So we would want to integrate renewable energy, which has a good scope in a state like Gujarat, up to 20% in the coming 3 years of operations. So that will again reduce the dependence on conventional energy resources. And so the last part is the HR plan. So from the starting first year, we would like to deploy some special training programs to train the people for manufacturing unit of the chip fabrication. Gujarat government has been assisting in terms of fiscal incentives for setting up ancillary and anchor institutes for training and development of labor. So that will help us in setting up a smaller training unit to train the manufacturing labor, and that will help us. So that is all. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. So other details can be found in the appendices, which we have attached in the slides here.
Thank you, team. Jury, for your questions, please.
So maybe I'll go first. Team, a couple of things, right? I mean, given the high investment outlay and the big risk you correctly outlined, I didn't see a detailed financial plan. I mean, am I missing a slide or something, which really talks about how the investments will play out in the next 10 years, the revenues, etc., and potential profitability?
So we did cover the financial plan to a certain extent. So given the data that we had available and the kind of balance sheet that Vissoft had available in the case we had available, so we suggested that around $7.5 billion investment is required for setting up the fab over the next 5 years. And how to raise that, we have divided into 4 parts. One is through the cash that Vissoft has.
Sorry, Prasanna, I interrupt you. I understand that, but I've seen that in the slide. What I mean is, how do you generate revenues out of it? I mean, how are the revenues looking year to year for the next 10 years?
Absolutely.
With the
That
cost,
was my
what is
question
the
as well.
profit come? I've not seen that P&L sheet in your deck.
So yes, that is correct. We did not cover revenues to a great extent in depth. We did cover them. We took benchmark figures from other research that we have, and we suggested that we can grab around 5% or to 10% of the market share, and that is how we can get the revenues.
So how many years you think you will take to break even?
So that would be around 7 to 8 years to break even, given the CAGR of the market and the market share that we're going to grab in the next 5 years.
Nor did I see any sectoral focus that you would want to really have. So while you mentioned which sectors have what kind of market share in terms of communications and all of that, but which sector would you really focus on to supply these chips?
So
I didn't see that.
Yes, sir. Like we would focus on automotive industry because there is a lot of manufacturing setups in India. So we can fulfill the Indian demand which is there. That is why, like we mentioned, though we have a high demand share in communication, we will first focus on the automotive industry.
Why?
Because currently, like there is a lot of shortage of semiconductor chips currently going on. Also, like manufacturing sector in automotive industry is growing very rapidly. Specifically in India, there is a lot of manufacturing plants which are being set up, and it is having a very high CAGR. So we thought like there would be a very high demand, and we could fulfill that Indian demand here itself. So we would target automotive industry first.
Do you really need these chips for an electric vehicle? That's where the world is going.
Yes, sir. Like electric vehicles will also see a very high semiconductor chip demand. So that is also one of the additional point, which would help to, or which would support our claim to go with automotive industry.
So not just electric vehicles, we're also moving towards autonomous vehicles, and there we will also see an increase in the chip demand. So that is why we chose automotive sector first, because it is also disrupting other industries, the kind of technological advancements that are happening there.
Great. Any other questions, Jury?
Is your market India? Are you expecting to get all your sales from India, Indian customers?
Can I answer that? So
Yes.
in the initial stage, sir, where we are really looking forward to tap the Indian market. So once we are, in a position where we are technologically advanced and also we have the capacity to build the required chips, the chipsets which are demanded globally. So once if we have that capacity is built in coming 5 to 7 years, we would surely want to tap the global market as well.
Also, have you considered if you just do chip design, will your business plan look profitable without getting into manufacturing?
So, sir, in the initial 2 years, we have planned that we will go with chip design, but in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, we are going to set up the manufacturing, fab manufacturing.
No, my question was different. Can you just be in chip design and be profitable without getting into manufacturing?
Yes, so we can be, because we have seen that in the Indian landscape, India has built up capabilities in chip designing, and that is something which is currently profitable in India as well. So another way is, if we are not able to even get into chip designing, given the kind of balance sheet that we have, we can acquire smaller players, because there are smaller players in the market right now which are very disruptive in these aspects, and acquire the IP and build that up from scratch
Al-
in chip
Yeah,
design.
adding on to it, like chip designing have a comparatively low entry barrier as compared to semiconductor
So
manufacturing.
are you suggesting that there could be an option of not getting into manufacturing in your analysis?
No, sir. Like we suggested initially, we should go with chip designing and then go into manufacturing with as a joint venture with some established player, so that we will have a complete 360-degree chip designing or chip manufacturing setup in-house. This in the long term.
Okay.
Great, some tough questions from the jury, so challenges continue to keep coming in, but thank you for answering them with all your passion. Thanks, team. Moving on to the next team now. Sam, can we have the screen up? Thank you. Team R Cube, Rohit Bhushan Kumar, Riti Saha, and Ritu Yadav. Go
Right,
ahead,
I'll
please.
just share my screen.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, Rohit. Go ahead.
Yeah. So good afternoon, panelists. Today we are here, group number A43, team R Cube. So here's a team for you. Like first is Ritu Yadav, then Rohit, myself, and then we have Riti Saha. Then first table of contents, we have started with some marketing research, and then we have done the implementation plan, then going to financials, and then the challenges, and then the future plans, and then the limitations of our current work. First of all, going to the market research. So first of all, we did a primary survey in 3 different cities, like talking to people who are already in the chip manufacturing industry from Haryana, Bangalore, and Kolkata. So we tried to gauge the challenges of the chip manufacturing industry in India currently, and what are the different governmental schemes in support for the industry as well. So we came up with some of the problems like lack in synchronization in this industry and the lack of skilled labor. As such, so going to secondary research, we came to know that India has a competency in designing, and we have to focus much on manufacturing part of it right now. Given the last year's COVID scenario, we had a global shortage of chipsets. Or the automobile industry itself, had a blip of around 30 to 40% in terms of production. And given the case that this is a festive season and there's a huge demand, the companies were not able to, push their supplies. Also, we are backing Vikram in this case, given 2 of the major points. First is the opportunity sizing. We have done a detailed opportunity sizing in the later part of the presentation. And we have a strong governmental support from the government of India as well, from the state government and also from the central government in terms of incentives and different schemes. Going to the vision and roadmap. So what we're trying to do here is, first of all, there are 2 parts of it. First is strategic partnerships. Second is skilled labor. So in terms of strategic partnerships, we are divided into phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is basically acquisition of a designing company. In this case, we have tried to acquire Moschip Technologies, which has a core competency in designing. So given Vikram is a strong visionary person who has already worked in this field, needs a team to start off designing first, and then we'll try to outsource or form strategic alliances with the small mass manufacturing units already present in India. Given an example like Nepino, who does mass manufacturing. So basically, we are trying to act as a gateway to source the huge demand pull from India to these small mass manufacturing units to create a cluster and gain economies of scale. So what is in there for them? So as you all know, that Vistsoft has a competency in terms of market size. We are already serving customers in automobile and healthcare industry. So we are also in touch with all of them. So these companies can get an access to all our existing pool of customers. Also, the Vistsoft has a lot of backing from the government of different countries. So in terms of expanding internationally later on, we'll have a lot of focus there. And later on, taking on the marketing plan, my colleague Ritu will take forward.
Thank you, Rohit. We're going to now walk you through our marketing plan. Moving on. So we'll take a look at our customers first. So Vistsoft is looking to target the automotive industry with its line of superior products. So there are several reasons to support our choice. The first being the surge in automotive electronic systems. And this surge has been fueled by a variety of reasons, including government regulations and consumer demand. And secondly, Vistsoft's strong presence in the automotive industry as an IT service provider, along with Vikram's keen interest in the industry, makes it an appropriate target market to pursue. Moving on. We've done a detailed market sizing of the market that we are targeting. So we have studied the supply side of the automotive industry to estimate the size of the automotive semiconductors market in India by value. And we have arrived at a market size of 176.5 billion INR. Moving on. Next slide. So coming to the 4 Ps now. So if we were to summarize Vistsoft's broad product portfolio into a single line, it would be that Vistsoft aims to provide a comprehensive semiconductor solutions for safe and secure mobility. Moving on. Coming to our distribution strategy. So we are looking to distribute our products via a robust network of distributors. Our webpage will include a functionality that will allow interested parties to look up authorized list of distributors closest to their locations. And a sample of the webpage that we're envisioning has been put on the slide. The pricing strategy that we're looking at is a market penetration pricing strategy. Moving on. Now, apart from traditional B2B marketing efforts, we are looking at 3 major promotional efforts. The first of it being ingredient branding. The second is co-branding with trusted automotive players in the Indian market. And lastly, participating in trade events. Moving on. We are estimating that our marketing budget will account for roughly 25% of the total amount allocated towards pursuing this new venture. Moving on. Now taking a look at the HR plan. In order to onboard the right set of people, we have designed 2 distinct recruitment programs. So the first program is targeted towards hiring industry veterans who have a lot of experience and expertise in this area. They will be responsible for end-to-end implementation of different product development stages. And the second program is called the Young Future Leaders Program, wherein we will be recruiting young talented individuals from engineering and management schools across the country. The next part will be taken up by my colleague Ritu.
Our strategic plan included the acquisition of Moshchip Technologies that specializes in designing semiconductors. And to perform, to perform the relative valuation, we selected a set of 4 peer companies who are dealing in similar businesses. And we calculated the enterprise value and price multiples using that. Moving on. The multiples were then further used to calculate the enterprise value and share price. The share price that we came up with is 61.11, while the current share price for Moshchips is 48.8. Thus, the amount need to be paid would be 9655 million rupees for 100% acquisition. Moving on. For DCF valuation, we prepared the amortization schedule and depreciation schedule using a similar approach. Moving on. So we made the projections in the cash flow statement, balance sheet, and income statement, and we calculated the FCFF and terminal value based on the assumptions that we made. After that, the enterprise value and the equity value was derived. For acquiring a majority stake in the company, we need to acquire at least 50% equity stake. We also wanted to compare other options, but data related to other firms wasn't available publicly, so which limited our analysis to a single firm. Moving on to the water sourcing challenge that might arise if we consider a strategic alliance with semiconductor manufacturers, then we would help in the solution by getting the government support for our partner and regional upgradation. Apart from this, will help in the development of infrastructure to source our water from natural reservoirs. The aim here is to create a cluster for end-to-end chip development through strategic alliances with mass manufacturing units and support partners with water sourcing capabilities and deploying advanced technologies to create sustainable solutions. Moving on, in long run, we would look forward to set up a manufacturing plant in Gujarat. And the reason behind this is the cost accessibility to set up desalination plant and ease of doing business and the government incentives available there. Further, moving on to the limitations. Due to the various efforts being made in this sector, this is becoming attractive and this would soon lead to more competition, and hence creating a long-term plan is a challenge. And due to limited number of integrated device manufacturers in India, there is a limited availability of secondary data for semiconductor market. And the numbers of peers available were also less, which limited our analysis. That is all from our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, team. Jury, your questions, please.
I didn't see anything on the financials. So have you guys thought through that?
The
Yes.
same question. Yeah.
Oh, can you move? Ma'am, so we thought of acquiring this Moship Technologies, and for that we calculated that around 4.6 billion would be needed to acquire a majority stake in the company. So for that, we assume that 25% would be fed up from the cash balance of the Vestas, which is 0.7 billion. And apart from that, since it was mentioned that they are not going for debt, so we thought of going for equity share, like share for the rest of the amount.
Yeah, but that's just for the acquisition, but there'll be many other things that you will have to take care, right? So are you suggesting that only the acquisition will take care of everything, including talent, including your manufacturing, designing, everything?
Ma'am, so for that, the manufacturing part, that is a stage 2. We have like included first stage and the second stage. So the first stage, that would be our acquisition part, and the stage 2, that is a long-term plan. So for that, we have like not calculated the exact figures, because that was our step in the long term. So
Also,
first step was acquisition.
Yeah. Also, ma'am, given the fact that it will take around 3 to 4 years for a new talent from the engineering colleges and the management colleges to come to work in the industry with us. So to fill this gap, we are acquiring the company for, we idealize Vikram as a very strong leadership. Because he's worked in the field already in terms of designing in stint at Intel and other companies. So he can lead the company, can form a synergy, can work better. And then after 3 to 4 years, when a new talent, fresh talent can come into the company, that's how the gap will be filled at a later stage. Yeah.
Ma'am, in addition to that, we've also provided a marketing budget. So we've thought of the acquisition part and the marketing budget to be among the major costs. So we provided a marketing budget like classification for that.
No, I think what we would have liked to see was kind of the total budget planning and also like the revenue that you expect. So what is the amount of investment required, and how do you break even? How do you then make profit after that? I think that is something that
for
is
that, ma'am, so for that we have included the revenue projections in the Excel sheet, and we have attached the Excel sheet in the PPT as well.
Right, ma'am.
Can you show us that if it's a quick one?
Sure, sir. It's this, right, Ritu?
Yes.
Just 2 seconds.
You can take a second, you can stop your screen share and share again if you want.
I can share the screen, right? If you...
Sure, Ritu.
Not easy to be here as finalists.
Can you go to the DCF part?
Right, yeah.
So sir, these are the revenue projections that we have made for the Moships, and I think where is the merger model is a sheet of merger model.
I know you've done a lot of analysis. Just tell us the brief, like.
Okay, ma'am. So
ma'am,
we
just to
had one more slide that included the merger model, and I included both the revenues of Vestas and Moships. So from that, we calculated that up in 2022, it would be earning a revenue, like it would be getting a revenue of 7 billion, and in 23, 8 billion, and in 24, it was 9.8 billion. So from that, since the expenses of Vestas were not available, so I wasn't able to calculate the net income for Vestas for the coming years. But I calculated it for Moships, and it came out to be 0.6 billion in 2024. So that was almost half of the amount that was Vestas was getting in net income.
And
So
just to
that was the projection.
sum it up, the given net profitability of the company is given as $1 billion, which translates to around 74 billion INR. And for the deal, we require just an amount of 4.9 billion INR. So in that sense, also the deal makes a bit of sense because it's given the case that we can make an expenditure of around 25% of the balance sheet, which is around 28 billion sort of. So in that sense, the deal makes sense, and we've done the projections also.
Any other questions, please go ahead.
I just
Okay,
have a
thanks.
comment, and you need not respond. But you know, your whole assumption is I go with an acquisition, and the acquisition delivers, right? I mean, that's your strategy for Vissoft, right? So there's very little beyond that. At least you have at least thought through in terms of the business plan beyond Moship. So because.
So we also included that we would be going for intensive marketing plan. So sir, we
No,
didn't.
what I mean is your revenues are only getting generated through Moship. Moship can do it on their own as well. You're just saying Vissoft will acquire Moship and I get revenues on the semiconductor side. So the point is
we are trying to act as a gateway, sir. So these companies are, a bit of a struggle when they go into the market and try to get the demand. So the best thing we are doing here is we are sourcing the demand for them, which is already available. Vissoft has a very strong handhold in the automobile sector and also the healthcare sector. So initially we are trying to go into the automobile sector and then expand step by step to the other sectors as well. There is a huge demand in the country itself right now, sir. So given the fact that these small clusters, Moship itself is not a very big thing. It's not a very big company per se as of now. So these small companies can be brought together, form the cluster to achieve economies of scale.
Thank you, team.
We are helping also them to scale up at a later point in time. So that's the whole strategy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, team, and thank you, jury. Things are heating up. I hope the next teams are ready with all their Excels and all the additional research material in case the jury needs to know. But thank you, team. Good effort. Good job. And thank you, jury, for your active and very, very detailed questioning. The next team, please. Team Alliance, Nilanjan, Shweta, and Tejasvi. All the best.
Yeah. So, is the screen visible?
Yes, Nilanjan is visible.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'll get started. A very good afternoon to everyone here. We are Team Alliance here to present a strategic solution for Vissoft to succeed in the road less traveled. We have two perspectives, one from Vikram, who aspires to set up a chip manufacturing plant in India. And on the other hand, we have Sonia, who wants to develop an SEO with regional language support. While both have merits to their arguments, we have done our analysis and we see a great potential for Vissoft to venture into the chip manufacturing business, mainly because of the global demand, market growth potential, and the conducive government policies. We see the industry is expected to generate a revenue of $542 billion, and a bulk of the usage of chips is in data processing and communication, which are promising sectors. Of the three broad areas of semiconductor manufacturing, we propose to manufacture foundries chip due to the low R&D cost and technology requirements compared to the sophisticated chip manufacturing. Here we see from the SWOT analysis that though there are challenges such as raw material availability and high investments required, the industry shows promising growth with an adequate talent pool in India. One of the major drivers for selecting chip manufacturing is the government initiatives and the growth drivers. Bringing the focus to the government initiatives, there are several schemes for the promotion and production linked incentive. The Union Cabinet recently approved 10,000 crores for additional investment in this sector. Now, India is a global R&D hub for semiconductor industry, and MNCs like IBM and Tata are already emerging in this. There are homegrown companies like Sakya Labs, ASM Technologies. All these are involved in the manufacturing of semiconductors, which fall into the foundries category. Here are a few other companies which would be our potential competitors to Vissoft.
Thank you, Sweta. We would like to envision Vissoft Semiconductor to be the most advanced and largest foundry service provider in India in the near future, while also contributing towards the society. Setting up a fab is definitely a cost-intensive project, and there are several other key challenges like high dependence on third-party supply chain for assembly and components, limited experienced workforce in this field, etc. Emerging Southern Asian countries provide cost competitiveness like India, and as a result, the leading players are already concentrated there. So we would like to proceed in the venture leveraging several government initiatives and through a joint collaboration with the market leader TSMC, which will give us an edge due to their experience in the most advanced chip manufacturing. Our plan is to outsource the logistics and non-core IT operation to reduce the initial cost, and our goal is to meet the demand of our country initially. For alternative options other than TSMC, there are 6 companies we can reach out for collaboration, which are mentioned here. So TSMC will also gain significantly due to the current geopolitical issues like US's aggressive stand against China and their friendly neighbors. On the other hand, India and Taiwan boast a good relationship, which will pave the way for the further collaboration. After considerable thought, we selected Gujarat for the location of our foundry due to their infrastructure and state government policies regarding starting a business. Also, Gujarat is one of the leading states in India for setting up a new business according to a report of World Bank. The financial assistance for both land and infrastructure and easier process like single application form for 26 different state-related approvals are the primary reasons for selecting Gujarat. Semiconductor industry itself is a water-intensive project, and according to our analysis, Gujarat will be able to provide the necessary supply. Apart from the massive pipeline grid covering 75% of Gujarat and 200 plus reservoirs, the massive usage of wastewater reduced the overall cost for industrial water and made it the favorable choice. After the Kalpasar project, the slight dependency on rain will also be reduced. Although there is quite less action regarding Chinese control in Himalayan territory, but collaboration between 2 governments and if needed, a strong course of action will ease the situation. Here is our estimated estimation for the fab, which includes the land, building and the room. The raw materials needed for semiconductor plants are silicon, photomask, etc. And India has a good number of providers like Dow Chemical, Linde, etc. We would like to use TSMC's technology for most of the part, but there are also key machinery suppliers in India. And although the Tata Group is also thinking about the same project, we do not share any common resources and our target group are also different. So there will be no potential such conflicts.
As a part of a growth strategy, we will start with the production of 300 mm wafer with 28 nm chipset. The wafer planar process is most cost effective at 28 nm. Once Vissoft's market share and consumer base increase, it can further expand to 14, 10 and 7 nm chips. 14 nm chips will become the main manufacturing process for most high to mid-range chips. As seen from the graph below, the CAGR and market size by the end of 2023 looks promising for the equipment using 28 and 14 nm chips.
2 minutes to go.
Next comes the organizational planning of Vissoft semiconductor business. Partnering with premier educational institutes, local recruitment, global workforce training, and applying best industrial practices like TQM will help to achieve organizational vision. 40% of the employees can be hired in initial years and deployed to a partner's company location to prepare them and to lead a comparatively less skilled workforce back in India. The 5 functional stages of semiconductor IC value chain are R&D, design, manufacturing, assembly, and distribution. The total workforce required to set up and operate a semiconductor foundry is around 4,000. To ensure the quality of employees, Vissoft can build the workforce by training and external recruitment. The implementation from the commencement of planning, shell construction, tool installation, production, and shipment will take around 2.5 years to complete. Following are the risks associated with this venture. Being a new entity, if it is unable to meet the initial demand, it is most likely to lose both current and future orders, thus limiting the company's growth. This can be mitigated by focusing on exports and implementing best manufacturing practices. Long-term contracts can help to mitigate the effect of change of unstable government policies. The change in the volume of demand and reduction in cost due to Moore's law and technology transition can be mitigated with alliance and joint venture. The strict safety standards can mitigate the safety risk of fabrication unit. Coming to the company's financial, the chips are initially priced at $2,500. Once the operation starts, the raw material cost, logistic and HR cost will be the main component of expenses. Initial funding will be used in the activities as shown in the first pie chart. The initial funding will be from Vissoft's gross cash, equity, long-term loan from the government and the partner company. Considering expenses and revenues, Vissoft Semiconductor is expected to reach its break-even somewhere between 2020 and 2030. That is 8 years after its operations. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Jury, for your questions, please.
Good to see slides on risk and financials. I had a question on the financial slide, if you could just go back to that slide.
Yes,
you're saying you're going to generate profit from year 1. Did I see that in the next slide or something?
No, sir. We are going to actually, the break-even is 29 to 2030, 2029 to 2030.
Oh, this is the IT business, is it? This
No,
sheet?
sir. This is the for the semiconductor business. But for the semiconductor, we are actually the, yeah, from here actually we are getting the chips, and then it's the, yeah, total revenue, yeah, from here. This is the kind of total.
So we start generating revenue only from 2024. That is, we need 2.5 years initially to set up the business itself.
And
so
after that,
when do you start generating profits? After 10 years, is it? Or how many years?
Sir, after 9 years.
After 8 years, like after 8.2 years, we'll reach our break even.
And what is total investment you need?
Investment is 3 billion actually. From the 3 billion, 1.15 billion will be ours, 1.10 billion will be TSMC's, and 0.75 will be the government initiative, through various government initiative. Like they provided the PLI schemes and all.
So why would all the revenue come to you? Then you will have to also divvy the revenue up, right? Based on the investors for the profit. No, because you are expecting multiple investors to come in to fund your project. They would expect a share of profits as well, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, in this case, this is actually the initial cost of setting up the foundry, and we included for all. Like in this part, actually, TSMC, government, and us, all three are included. So when the profits will come, then we will divide it accordingly based on the share.
So this is not really the net profit to you. It will be the profit will be only a subset of what you're showing, because the rest may go to them. Have you factored that in your financials?
No, sir.
So this is as a Vissoft Semiconductor, as a subsidiary of Vissoft, this is the company financials that we have drawn on. So we haven't exactly put in the profit Vissoft would get in from here.
Okay. And the other question I had, and I'll stop here. Have you done a sensitivity analysis? Because you say you will start with larger nanometer chips and move to 14, but is there really demand on the larger nanometer chips? Because that's become legacy already in most of the devices, right? People are looking at 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer. That's where the demand will be. If there is no demand on your larger chips, then you are not going to get those revenues, the assumptions you've made.
Well, sir, actually, we have done that, and we have done that sensitivity analysis. And after that, we came to the conclusion that 28 nm chips will be the first initial stage. It would be best, it is a perfect balance among reliability, price, and performance. And then once we get some foothold in the 20 nm chips, then we will actually proceed with 14 nm and then 10 nm, 7 nm, and more advanced chips. And currently 28 nm chips has application in OTT box, TV, AC, drone, etc. And then when we go to that 14 nm chips, there will be other applications like smartphone, IoT, and these are the end market size and CAGR. So like IoT device, it is 17.4% CAGR. So that's why we actually focused in this one.
Okay. And the last thing, see, if you look at the world today, you really don't have too many large foundries other than TSMC and maybe Samsung. Intel wants to get there, and there is a reason why there are only 1 or 2 companies in the world. It's the scale, complexity, the capability required is of a different scale. How are you going to address that risk to build this business?
Well, sir, the risk is definitely there. And actually, in the Moneyball novel, there's one thing like the first guy through the wall always gets bloody. So there's definitely some risk. But in the initial investment, as we are partnering with TSMC, we will use their technology also. So and they are quite actually the market leader. So as we are using their technology, so it will be easier for us to sell through. And regarding the workforce planning, actually in India there are several IITs. And regarding the we have a huge pool of PhD scholars as well. So we will use them and leverage the technology. Also, India is the R&D hub for the semiconductor. Like nearly hundreds of startups are currently working on the semiconductor design. So even if we can actually leverage them and even we can hire them for our Vissoft. So it will be it will be great for us.
Okay, thank you. Samir, Soini, any questions?
Any further questions, please? Thank you, jury. Thank you, team. I don't know about all of you, but for me, I think in the last 3 weeks, I've done 3 years of MBA course. So a lot of business talk for all of us. I'd like to also invite right now Aparna Shailene, who heads Global Campus at Wipro, to share her thoughts and also to talk to us about what she sees in terms of the young talent that's presenting today. So Aparna, over to you, please.
Sorry, my mute took some time to get off, but hello everyone. And while the jury probably takes a couple of minutes to work through the previous presentations, I thought it'll also give you all some time for the next two. We've got two more to go, right? So maybe some more time for you guys to just breathe and get going. But fantastic. I've been a silent listener, and it's been wonderful to look at some of the stuff that all of you have put together. I think just getting till here, I think it's been such a huge effort. You guys have gone through 3 different rounds, and just to stay consistent, stay at it, put in the effort. I know alongside everything else that's happening on the campus right now, has really been marvelous. So I think great inputs from all of you, great amount of effort. Good to see the involvement, the passion with which you all have put your points through. And I think the important bit will also be for you to really take back from here a lot of learning on what you could have done better or what you've done well. And we'll hear more about that from the jury as well once the 5 presentations are over. But this is the first time that we as Wipro have gone large scale with a case study competition. We've done this in the past, probably in pockets. But this year we wanted to really look at it more at a national level across multiple campuses, and with a twist, and which has really been what I've seen in the teams that have presented so far. It's been great to see how the members of the team are not coming from the same campuses. I know that most of you obviously haven't interacted with each other and have just done so virtually, but something that for me was a big takeaway, that the teams came together really, really well. So I think that's really kudos to all of you, to have worked with people that you've probably never spoken to before, that you've just met a few weeks back, to be able to put together a solution and to really come out and present it as one team, with all your thoughts aligned, with things very well demarcated in terms of the thought process and what you're going to talk about. I think that was a huge win for me. So as I was going through the cases, through the presentations, it was great to see how you guys have aligned well on the project. I'm sure there were challenges while you guys were working through it, but great job on that. And that for us is really a simulation of what it is like to work in teams, right? When you join an organization, you will not know the person sitting next to you immediately or the next person on the team, but to be able to come together, to be able to get your thought processes aligned, and to be able to make a successful presentation is really a winning streak. So fantastic job done on that. And I really wish the other 2 teams also the very, very best as you make your presentations. And we look forward to seeing who the winners are. But more importantly, I think it's been a great journey for all these 5 teams. And I'm just very happy to be here to hear you guys out and look at the tremendous effort that you all have put in. So all the best again, and wish you the very best. And we would love to hear maybe at a later point in time, some feedback from each one of you on what the experience has been and what we could have done better. So thanks, Prachi. And yeah, back to you.
Thank you so much, Aparna. And thanks for calling out the differentiators, because that's really the real story, right? You all started as individuals and then you were grouped, and here we are today. So big kudos, like Aparna said. And we're just going back to the presentations in a moment. I wanted to let you know, as Aparna said, if any of you have any feedback, any questions, any comments, feel free to leave that in the Q&A section for us. We'll try and either answer that live today, or we'll try and get back to you guys through our placement agencies or individually. But yes, for now, if you've all had your sips of water and a deep breath, we can resume. Jury, are we okay to go back and start looking at the presentations?
Yep. And awesome. I think for the next team that is coming up, which perhaps is the last one, they have the advantage. We have 2 more. Yeah. Oh, we have 2 more. Okay.
Actually, sorry, just to interject, we have just one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A57 is left.
My
left
bad.
to present.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No
my
problem.
bad.
They have the advantage of having heard through all the other teams, and my expectations from them would be the highest. So not to put them under pressure, but
Yeah, no pressure, Sameer. That's right. No pressure. No pressure whatsoever. Great. But thank you, Sameer. Thanks for those words. All right then. Team Erudite, Soumyadeep, Kumar Shashank, and Amartya Kumar. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the PPT visible?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Amartya, can you confirm?
Yeah, Shashank, we can see.
Hello, Amartya.
Yeah, Shashank, we can
Apologies.
see.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, panelists. We are Team Erudite, consisting of Amartya, Soumyadeep, and Shashank, and myself. So we have chosen Sonia's idea of going with the search engine. Why we chose this idea was because we felt there was a alignment with Westsoft's expertise in software development and the Sonia's idea. So Westsoft can provide its IoT infrastructure as well as its skilled workforce to develop this much more efficiently, hence lowering the development as well as the operation cost. Why we rejected Bikram's idea was because it has a huge upfront capital, as well as the Westsoft's expenses are expected to go up by 20-30%, as well as the growth is supposed to be muted. Now, if you look at the search industry trends, we know that the regional language is going to increase very rapidly. The Google State of Search 2020 report has noted that 10-fold increase in regional language searches in the last year itself. Hence, our vision for this is to remove all barriers to knowledge and truly democratize access to information and technology. And our mission is aligned to enable the same. When we look at the industry competitiveness, we have found that Westsoft is favorably positioned with its robust laboratory capabilities to capitalize on this underserved market, which has a huge growth potential and is expected to reach 536 million in 2021 and up to 900 million in the 2030, according to an EY report. When we look at the gaps, we have found out that the Indian language-based searches have given inaccurate results in the popular search engines. Also, the vernacular language coverage is also very low. The Google itself only covers 5 million. Also, the accent management by voice-based searches is also very poor. Now we come to the critical success factors that we have identified for success of our offering. So the most relevant one, according to us, is contextually accurate results and satisfaction of user intent. When we come to the competition, we have identified 4 main silos. One is the general search engine providers like Google, the indigenous ones like Neeva and Kumamo, and the super app ecosystem, and then is our offering. Now, if we look at this whole table, you can understand that Google has 98% market share, covers only 5 languages, but yet the Kumamo and Neeva with 16 more people are unable to break into it. The few barriers to entry that we have identified, because the reason is established strong brands have already search results optimized, and the default bias is already present in users towards Google because it is so popular. Now, if we come to the stakeholder analysis, we understand that users and content creators would be the key to our success because they will contribute to the positive network effect of our offering. Once the whole offering reaches a threshold, we also feel that advertisers need to be engaged to monetize our current offering. Moving on to the offering itself.
Yeah, thank you, Shashank. So as we talk about our product, it is Visnet, which is basically our search engine. It's going to be the search query that is going to help the Indians navigate the online world. And we talk about a salient feature. So we are planning to start with 10+ regional language in the first 2 years. And our aim, much like Sonia's, is to not only create a business opportunity, but also to empower Indians in their quest for knowledge and information. And this is why to incorporate that, we're also giving them an opportunity to earn while they surf, which we'll talk about later. Next slide, please. So we have created a whole suite of products. Although Sonia's idea was to create a search engine, we have taken that forward and created a whole suite of an ecosystem where the user can find a product for everything that they're looking for. May it be Vision, which is going to be the image of search engine, or Vizern, which is the earn to watch ads and get rewards. So Vizpedia, Viznews, Viztranslate, all of them will be built on the core capability to do a better language translation, but also provide information to anyone and everyone that requires it. Next slide, please. So this leads us to our value proposition, and the value proposition, Shashank, yeah, value proposition, and the value proposition is obviously for the users. It is going to be more optimized search, exactly what they're looking for. May it be more like colloquial Indian terms or searches based on jargons or slangs that is commonly used in each individual language. or may it be more quality control on the website, because we also plan to approve websites before they get advertised. Also for the merchants, it provides them the opportunity to use their regional words, which is not yet possible on Google, where you cannot use, like, let's say a Kannada word or let's say a Tamil word to properly advertise get the right people to see those ads. So that is another value proposition for the merchants, which will give them more frequent lead generation, create more personal brand campaigns, and get them more conversions down the line. Next slide, please. Moving on to the 360 loop. So this is very important because this is where I explain Vision. So the concept of Vision is to provide an opportunity for the users who will be able to fill surveys, watch ads, and earn cashbacks and rewards for that. This will give them an incentive to participate, use the app more, and get into our ecosystem, whereas it will give it more personalized information to us, our AI, and also to the advertisers, because they'll be able to identify what is exactly needed by those users and be able to advertise to that. Also, this is where we incorporate the feedback system, where we'll obviously have an AI-powered chat or troubleshooting system, but it will also be where we'll provide bounty for bugs and rewards for fixes, where anyone can find any glitch or any kind of an issue, they can help us identify it, and they'll be rewarded for it along with any product development.
2 minutes to go.
Yep. Moving on to the next slide. So continue. This is our why Visnet. Continue, please, Shashank. Yeah, and this is for a strategic partnership. So we have seen the capabilities. So to reach the market as soon as possible, we have taken into consideration the existing Amazon SageMaker, Microsoft Azure, and Google IBM Watson. So what we plan to do is create a more like a neural network which is more advanced, which can use human judgment models to give more personalized search results, and it will be a natural language translation, so that you're actually talking to a computer instead of just getting it translated. Next slide, please. And this is a strategy action plan where we plan to open in a beta and then launch the full suite with the advertisers coming in the 3rd year, and another partnership with as web browsers installed in, let's say, Indian manufactured phones such as Jio phones, so that more people get to try it and feel it. Over to Soumya.
Thank you, Amartya. So after understanding how about the product, we see how Visnet will make money from the platform. As a new ecosystem, we will engage with customers to bring them on board. Merchants can use Visnet for 4 search engine advertising tools like text ad, product listing ad, display ads, video ads. Next slide. So for the initial 10 years, Visnet will target 9 regional languages in India along with Hindi. 1,080 million people have this language as their first language. Assuming internet penetration in India around 65%, we have a target market of 700 billion. This is going to rise as internet penetration increases. Next slide. Next, we have drawn up a financial model for the next 10 years in operation. We have taken some assumptions like internet penetration continues to grow across the country, and Visnet is able to acquire a bigger pie of the growing market. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is the overall financial. We'll break it down over the next few slides. Next slide. For determining the advertising revenue projections, we have used what is called a new business approach. We have determined the revenue to user ratio of major search engines like Google's, Bing, Baidu, and made adjustment for operating in an unfound market in India and for focusing in regional languages, and have applied that for Visnet to obtain the revenue projection. We have assumed that Visnet will be able to capture 10% of the target market from the year of launching, and this fraction will increase in the coming years. Next slide. In the cost, we have included R&D cost, salary, infrastructure cost, advertisement, and collaboration cost, which is expected to be high for operating in a new ecosystem. Subtracting the cost from the revenue, we have obtained profits under calculation, so that Visnet will bring in profits from the 5th year and will break even from the 7th year. These include 3 years of initial development period, testing of beta version, etc. Next slide.
Your time is up. Please, requesting you to wrap up.
Can we get 1 minute extra?
Please just hurry up, please.
Yes, ma'am. So we know that success of Visnet is determined by not just by the revenues, but also their benefits they're able to generate for rural India. So we have suggested like collaborating with central and state governments to take their welfare schemes to rural India through the search engine. Also focusing on skill improvement and education in rural India through search engines. Next, Another aspect of the case was concerning the human resource. In the post-COVID period, employees will have multiple demands from the employers like flexibility, employer-related benefits, operations of remote work, and better work-life balance. Failing to provide this will lead to high attrition. Next slide. To counter this, we have drawn up a HR plan for VISNet, like focusing on both hygiene factors and motivators, embracing technology like HCM and ERP to provide flexibility, providing growth opportunities through upskilling and reskilling, and finally providing various employer benefits. In continuation, next slide. In continuation, we will have to focus on hiring the right people with the right capabilities from the right place and the right time. Next.
Team, I'm afraid we are really over time. How many more slides do you guys have?
Just 3 slides.
This is the last slide actually.
So this is
Okay,
the
last one.
This is the major milestones for VISNet. Like if we start from financial year 21, by 2024 they should be able to launch the full vSuite. By 2025 they should be able to monetize the platform, and from 2026 they should become profitable. And finally by 2030 they should have reached 400 million users. Next we have the appendix.
Yeah, that's it from our side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, team. Good effort. Thank you. Jury, for your questions, please.
So, I saw the slide you presented earlier was an interesting slide where you said Google is 98%, everybody else is less than 1.5%, 2%, right? Why would you go and compete head on with Google with mainstream languages like Hindi, Marathi, etc.? You're basically going to compete with them.
So I'll just take this question. So the thing is, this is a very interesting question because this was asked by the previous jury in the previous round as well. And the thing is, we are not competing with Google. We see a need gap. What we have in India is a need for language searches that is not being fulfilled right now because Google has to account for a global, ecosystem, and they're not just looking at India as the only market that they have. But we are. We have those capabilities, those resources to create the right language translation tool, which will be the core of our product. And this will actually give us the opportunity to also work as an enterprise search engine, or maybe even collaborate with Google or other big players down the line when they plan to maybe focus on India, because our capabilities are our search engine is going to be the core of our product. How good at it is at translation, which is why we also focus on hiring language experts with an inclination towards AI ML in our hiring plan as well.
So are you saying Google does not do a good job in mainstream 5 languages, which they focus on?
May I take that? So with Google, the main issue is that it doesn't understand the contextual relation. Well, one example I would take off is of Japanese. Although it is not in Indian language, I would like to take in Japanese. It is a very contextually driven language. So whenever we put in any word or any sentence in Google Translate and translate back to Japanese, the Japanese native speakers identify it as like very inaccurate, and it's not how they usually speak. This is also the problem with regional languages also. So the NLP program, whatever the Google is using underlying, has not matured enough to totally understand what the contextual relation is within the all these languages. There are memes also present in the net where they have written many the whole sentences and then translated to one language, and then it comes back just the repetition of that.
Okay, and my second question is, how are you going to get the revenue stream? Who's going to pay? Have you done an analysis of propensity of people to pay on this?
So we have actually accounted for the advertisers and the content creators to be the people who are paying, because we want more and more people in the first 2 years to bring in the traffic, which is why we also have the concept of Wizard, which will account for people.
My question is in regional languages and in regional ecosystems, have you identified who are these companies who would advertise?
So it can
how
be
big is that advertising market today in the regional context?
So we haven't done calculations for it, but we feel.
So, but the market is the entire, like anyone, even a small business, maybe he's a clothes seller or a fruit seller in a regional market who's just planning to move to his business online. And there are such small businesses that see digital, business as the future, and they're doing so. We have DotPay, we have apps like websites like Shopify that create a digital storefront, and this is where we are trying to bring the advertising content, because in regional language you can monetize on the regional words in Hindi, words in other regional languages that cannot be properly down on Google. You can only get keywords in English language, which is what we want to bring in. Like there are so many regional languages, so many colloquial terms or slangs that can be, that can become a part of the brand imaging, the advertising promotion, and this is where we plan to monetize.
Also,
Just to add one point, like we have made incorporations in their budget that we can educate the merchants and bring them on board. It will take effort from our side, but it will be better for us in the long run if we can bring the merchants on board to and show them the benefits of the platform and how can they target better there with our platform.
So we are not limiting ourselves to one or two businesses that we're training. It is open to anyone who plans to advertise online. We are similar to Google in that sense, right?
Also, sir, they even in their own regions, they have a better chance of targeting the right kind of people that they want to target. Like the local merchants usually want to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you go on your financial model slide, please?
Yes.
You shift through it quickly, but there was something. I thought it was jarring.
Your number slides, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Here. So here I see number of employees. No, go back.
The previous slide.
Not the revenue projection. Yeah.
I think
the previous table, please.
I think there's a little bit of a lag at his end.
Yes.
Are you able to go back to your screen, please?
Yeah. This is the slide. So here you are showing number of employees as 35,000. These would be employees on your roles?
Yeah, like including our own employees and also employees of the contractors that will be hiring for secondary work. So
what would they do? Why would you need so much manpower? And secondly, the average salary that you are showing here, firstly, your market is India. You're showing average salary in USD million. 0.024 is like $24,000. Converted into India rupees would be around 18 lakhs average, roughly. That if that's your average salary, I think it's very, very high. Even for a company like Wipro, our average salary is not that high. So don't you think it's very high?
Yeah, like actually we are moving into a very competitive space, like it's a search and we will be needing intellectual and talented people in the initial phase to create the ecosystem, and that will be required employees. And we are also planning into employees from other search engines like Google's to our payroll and create the platform. So initial number of initial salary to be provided to them. This is just to mention, this is an average salary. So initial salary to be provided to them is a bit high.
Yes, sir. I would like to add one more thing.
No, continue.
Yeah, the Google's R&D team is 27,000 strong. Yes, sorry, Amartya. 27,000 teams strong. That has been its core competency that has enabled that to kind of attract the right talent. Google has been hiring and offering huge packages, and that's why it has attracted that talent and has been able to leverage it to increase its market share. Also, sir, the kind of people, as we have mentioned in the very last slide during the HR plan, is the ones who we want with an inclination towards AI and ML that help us also enable predictive learning, because their whole platform needs to scale and also needs to contextually analyze and understand whatever the user is trying to say. So,
yeah,
sir,
we need
that's
experts in all the languages. Like at least if we are talking about 10 languages, the same expert, we are not expecting them to work on all the 10 languages. We want a person who obviously understands that language, maybe is a native speaker, has experience to top it off, and an interest in AI. So that is why we are trying to diversify the people they are hiring. And obviously a good compensation is always attractive to talent. And this is why we have incorporated that.
Okay. Thank you. Samir, any other question?
Yeah, the only thing I'll just write on what Samir asked, the ramp up is absolutely aggressive, right? I mean, in 3 years, you expect to be a 35,000 employee company and you expect to generate $1.7 billion. It's quite optimistic.
Yeah.
So
again, I'm trying to pick up on the optimistic note and calling it a wrap here, but thank you, Team Erudite, and thank you, jury, again. That's a wrap in terms of the overall presentation. So a big pat on the back for all of you, please, from our end, and a big round of applause as well. We will need to give the jury a little bit of time for the scoring. And in this time, I'd like to invite, if there's anybody who would like to take a few minutes, one or two people from the people who've presented, to come and share your reactions, how you felt, your experience. Anybody who would like to come up, please?
Sure, I'll take go if that's all right.
Sure, just keep it short, please. I'd like to open the house to one or two more people. So please go ahead, Amartya.
Yeah, so as was mentioned earlier, like I really enjoyed the aspect of having worked in cross college teams. So this is something that I really enjoyed. There are so many, and this is as realistic as it can go in an organization. As was mentioned, you can always work with people you have never known, and still being able to come out with a good result and give something that you're happy with is something that I really enjoyed in the process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amartya. We're glad you're a part of the competition. Anyone else would like to share their experience? I see a few raised hands. Go ahead, Team Millennium. One of you can go ahead and take the podium.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I really like the aspect that the kind of cases that were given to us, like semiconductor industry was not we did not know very much about the industry as well. So that was a great learning experience to learn about the industry and how we can sort of GTM into that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prasoon. Ritu, do you want to go next?
Yes, sure. So what happens in other case competitions, we have to make team ourselves and then we have to register on those case competitions. So one of the unique things that I got here was that I got to interact with people from different colleges, and the teams, they were assigned by the jury and the panelists and not us. And that was a great learning curve because you have to initiate conversation with some people that you don't even know, and you have to develop a team synergy, and that is something that a normal person cannot do because they have to work with people that they don't even know. So that was a great learning curve for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ritu. And we're so glad that you enjoyed that because that was the twist that we wanted to put in the competition. Anyone else? We still have a minute or two more. Anybody else who would like to go? I saw a few more hands up. I think there was someone else from the Millennium team. A38, I think I saw you.
Yes, actually, as everyone has covered it, like the unique point of the competition was to have conversations and to initiate striking conversations with your teammates right from scratch. We don't even know who they are, and it's a new experience. So it's always good to connect with like-minded people. So that was a very good opportunity for me to connect with good individuals. Plus, learning opportunity was extremely like the complexities that were added after the round 2. That was like you had to quickly think on your feet and integrate your solutions accordingly. So that was something which was really good for me and a great learning experience.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adinath, for sharing your thoughts. We'll have to hold on to the suspense for a little longer. I'm now going to invite the jury to actually share their experience with this competition. Any feedback that you'd like to share with our participants, what went well, what could have been better. So over to you, jury, whoever wants to go first, please.
Samir, Sohini, do you guys want to go first? Otherwise, I can speak.
Go ahead. Go
Sure.
ahead.
Yeah, Samir, you want to go?
No. I said either of you can go ahead.
Okay. No, I think it was great. A lot of analysis, a lot of research. So that was really good to see. A lot of hard work. You've created very complex Excels and models I could see. So that was really good. The problem statement was really articulated and supported with a lot of data points. I think all that was really good. I think a little weakness that I saw was sometimes in the financials and the overall ROI. So if it is like, what is the return on investment that I'm going to do? What is the business case? So maybe some would have been given on them. Some of you really kind of went through this flow nicely, and some of you couldn't manage time efficiently, but that's something also that I think we learn as we go. If it is a 5-minute, how do you pitch it for 5 minutes? If it's 50 minutes, how do you pitch it for 50 minutes? So I think those are all learning experiences for all of you. But overall, great effort, and thanks for your time and patience.
Thank you, Sohini.
Okay, maybe I'll go
Ajay,
next.
can I invite you, please?
Yes. I think certainly this case study made me sleep later last night and made me go through the entire case study just to be on top of this. But I think it's great work, especially in each of the teams where you come from different institutes and come together. And I at least saw a perfect orchestration of each of the presentations, and just in terms of the roles each of you played and how you took off from each other and covered specific areas and points. and how you backed up each other just in terms of some of the questions we had. So I think great job, a lot of detailing as well. And I see all of you would have spent significant time just in terms of detailing a lot of the data, a lot of the analysis and takeaways. So great job on all of that. I think a couple of things just to reflect on. When I look at the case study, it's a company which is in a different segment, and the children have different ideas about where the company should go and where they should grow. So maybe you want to also reflect a little bit on where the company is coming from, and it's a dramatic change for both the options. I don't think any of the options are easy. Both are equally tough. I mean, one may say one is more investment intensive, but both are very different businesses to what the company does today. So important to think about the shifts the company needs to make, not only in investments, but the talent, the mindset, the leadership, the capability of leadership itself, right? Which I didn't see too much. I mean, I saw a lot of HR processes and hiring plans, but fundamentally the CEO, the leadership teams, etc., and how they need to think about it, or is this going to be completely different and nothing to do with the parent company? So a little bit from where the company is coming from is useful to reflect and think about and that also is a risk and an opportunity. The other element I would say, I think just to reinforce what Sohini mentioned, I think any of these options require a fair bit of financial detailing. And when I say financial detailing, it's just not the revenue, but also just making sure you understand the market opportunity more tightly. Because clearly these are not new spaces. These are not areas where this company is the first one on the block. There are already companies operating. The market is relatively mature, and companies are big. So you're going against established companies. You're going against a market which is already mature. And so thinking about really where is the opportunity for a new company and what is unique about this company because of which, you will get customers, right? I mean, because today the same customer base works with competition, right? You're not trying to attract a new segment of customers, right? You're really going to try and pull customers away from existing players. So what is unique, what is differentiated about this company to kind of help get customers from competition or new customers as the growth of the market kind of happens. So some of them will be useful, and of course detailing. I saw a couple of presentations which detail financials quite a bit over 10 years, which is good because you really want to know upfront, does this business make sense, right? And some of these are long gestation businesses, and the risk hence is higher. Because nobody knows what's going to happen in 3 years or 5 years. So really projecting for 10 years is always tough. But it's always good to do the detailed financials and analysis to kind of come up to be clear upfront. Is there a market opportunity? Does this make sense? And I would think one of the ways to approach this case, I know you wouldn't have enough time, is to really look at both together and see what makes sense, right? Setting up a financials for both companies or both business plans and seeing on the balance, right? What is more attractive? Where are the risks more? Where are the opportunities more? And on the balance, what's more attractive? That will be a good exercise because it's, you can always pick one, but you really don't know what you're not picking. So that's the last point I would mention. But fundamentally, a great job, lots of work done, and great teaming from all of you.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Very, very insightful. And I'm sure all the participants have a lot to take away after this entire exercise. Samir, over to you, please.
Thanks. And I think this was an awesome case study. In fact, when I also went through the case study, it got me thinking, like Ajay, on what do I make out of it? And what really came across and crossed my mind was this organization is essentially, in the case study, we are talking about an innovation-driven technology workspace that we are really talking about. And if that's the kind of organization we want to really build and create a business out of it, what is it that needs to be at the core of it? And the first thing that came to my mind was focus on the customer need. And somewhere in all the presentations, I thought there was a lot of analysis which was done on the market opportunity, but a little was actually spoken about specific difficulties. Some of them did speak about it, but difficulties or the real customer issues that we are facing, and how this innovation-driven technology workspace will really address that while capturing the market that is available for grabs. What kind of customer needs are we going to really address? And of course, such a work culture would also need a thought process around failing fast kind of a culture. So again, as Ajay mentioned, a 10-year plan is obviously good to see on the slide, but there are just far too many, and this pandemic, if nothing else, has certainly showed us that we are completely incapable of doing any kind of crystal gazing around what's going to happen 5 years down the line, forget 10 years. The other very critical aspect is around how do we really create detailed business plans. And I think I don't want to belabor the point which Ajay really made on that, but that definitely is something which we need to really talk and think about. Having a beginner's mindset in such an environment is very, very critical. And how are we, when we bring talent in the organization, what kind of a startup, while it's a legacy organization with 50 years of legacy with it, but how in this organization you are really going to nurture a beginner's mindset or a startup environment. And the entire data-driven personalizations that both these products can really bring in is a big opportunity that was up for grabs. So those were really some of the thoughts which came across my mind when I went through the case study. And I think all the 5 teams did a fantastic job in doing their own research, presenting, and making a strong case for their point of view. I also want to really thank the entire Campus Connect team. It's not easy to come across or present a very, very challenging case study. And again, here we adopt our crowdsourcing capability to the hilt, where it's not just one team which comes to the fore and creates a case study. It's a job of multiple people who pool in their ideas, and a case study comes to life. So the entire Campus Connect team, kudos to you for having conceptualized this case, and the entire thought of having teams from multiple campuses is first for me, at least. And I certainly feel it must have been challenging for all of you to coming together and norming, forming, storming, all of that. The typical process that we go through has been certainly challenging. So kudos to all of you. Wonderful. I enjoyed last 2 hours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Samir. And on behalf of the entire team, I can tell you it was very challenging and a lot of sleepless nights, not just for the participants, but also for us as the organizers. Rahul, if you'd like to add something here while we still get the final result up, and I hope everyone is biting a few nails intermittently while we get the final winner list up. Rahul, would you like to add anything on the sleepless nights we've had?
Hey, thanks, Prachi.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just having some network issues, so just trying to.
No worries, no worries. Sam, if you'd like to take a few minutes.
I'm not on video, so I can speak.
Sure.
Not on video. Okay. So yeah, so it was little in the beginning there were a lot of challenges in terms of some of you would have faced, there were some technical challenges, and we were a little tensed how it will go through. But I guess we were somewhere we were able to overcome that entire thing, and I'm thankful to all the students participants for being able to have the patience and stay with us through the entire journey. And all of you have gone through the entire cycle, and today you are here, and I'm sure we will announce the results in a bit. So let's go ahead with the results.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rahul. All right, guys, this is the moment. Brace yourselves.
Prachi, can you give us 2 more minutes? Sorry,
Sure.
just 2 more minutes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. Okay, anyone else wants to take the virtual podium? We have 2 minutes and we're happy to hear thoughts. All right, silence is also not bad, not bad.
May I take the podium now to share my experience?
Please go ahead, Nitish. Go ahead.
So I would like to thank the entire jury and all the other teams as well for various wonderful insight that they provided. So I had a lot of learnings through this process. I learned what were my mistakes from the jury's feedback as well as the observing other people's work. So I really like this group presentation theme at this finale. What I would like to thank the organizers more for is giving me the opportunity to live my entire, starting from my CAT to my MBA journey in these 10 days. It was a very exhaustive case requiring various different sections of various different subjects of MBA that we have to present and analyze based on. So I'm really grateful for that and really had a fun time doing this. And also would like to thank my teammate and team leader Rishabh for being a wonderful teammate.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nitish. And it seems Sam is now ready. So I'm going to repeat myself. This is the moment, guys. Let's go for it, Sam. All right, we're unveiling the winners. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Sam, hit next. All right, second runners up, Team R-Cube. Give it up for the team, guys. Please unmute yourselves and clap so that we can all hear you. Thank you, Rohit, Ritu. You're the proud winners of the second runners up of the first ever BPro. Congratulations, great job done. And we'll get back to the next steps at the end for all the winners, but a big round of congratulations to Team R-Cube. And our first runners up are Team Millennium Falcon, Adinath, Prathamesh, and Prasoon. A big round of applause. Massive congratulations to you guys as well. As you can see, all the winners are receiving a cash reward. I hope you're all excited. You're all already thinking how you're going to spend the money. You have to, of course, split it amongst the group. So be nice to each other. But a big round of applause again for the first runners up, Team Millennium Falcon. Great job done, guys. And this is the moment. Our winners for the first ever BPro at Wipro Challenge coming up on your screens just about now. Team Alliance, there you go, Nilanjan, Swetha, and Tejasvi. Amazing work done. Congratulations, guys. Brilliant effort, brilliant presentation. A big kudos. And you're the proud winners of a big cash reward. So enjoy your upcoming Diwali vacation, everyone. We have some more good news to share. And Sam, over to you for that.
Thank you. Congratulations to you teams. Crazy. It's been a crazy, I think, 3 weeks. You guys went through individual rounds, through teams, went through 3 rounds at that. And congratulations to you all. But the good story does not end here. For a lot of y'all who did not come to the top 3 or the top 5, we do have PPIs that we are giving over. And we will announce that when we have our conversations with the placement team. So please do keep in touch with the placement teams. They will reach out when we have announced our PPIs. But congratulations to all of you all. The goodies will follow after the good news keeps piling on. And all the very best. Over to you,
yeah, we do have a next page which calls out the next steps. So Sam, just a quick recap for all our winners. The way ahead for everyone. As Sam said, goodies keep getting piled up, good news coming in. The cash rewards for the winners, 1 lakh for the winner for the top, 75,000 and 50,000 respectively for the first and second runners up. Keep your bank details and postal addresses ready. We'll reach out to you shortly. Award amounts will be credited within 10 business days. And for all the people who are receiving the PPI offers, just as Sam said, stay in touch with your placement agency. Sam, if you can hit next on the slide, thank you. We'll be reaching out to your respective colleges, and you've also won some goodies, so those are also getting to you soon enough. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. We certainly did, putting this together and seeing such brilliant energy and intelligent presentations coming over. Thank you so much for everything that you guys have done as part of this exercise. And Aparna, I'd like to invite you for a small closure note, if you can, please.
Thank you, Prachi. Congratulations to all the winners and to the 2 teams that didn't make it to the top 3, but made it to the top 5. I think great effort by all of you. I also want to thank Ajay, Samir, as well as Sohini. Thank you so much for being on the panel, for taking out the time, for doing the prep yourselves, going through the case studies and then asking all the right questions. So thank you. And of course, to the entire campus team, Prachi, Rahul, Sam, and all the others, Anshuman, Shiv, etc., for really working through over the last few weeks and just ending this as a great show today for everyone involved. So thank you. You will hear more from us, and we really hope that this has been a great learning session for you, and we've been very, very excited to have all of you be a part of BPro. So thank you, and thanks, Prachi.
Thank you, Aparna. Samir, is there anything you'd like to say? I see your hand raised, or is that from earlier?
It was from earlier, but I actually wanted to just make a note that for such a complex session, 5 teams presenting itself, I think kudos to Prachi, you who have been the anchor for today. And we are ending on the dot, in fact, 2 minutes ahead, and this is no small feat. So wonderful job.
So I also want to kind of
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It must have been a quite a complex thing to pull this off. Aparna, Prachi, Sam, team, Rahul. So great to have this done virtually. One couldn't imagine you could do this virtually a few years ago, but this is amazing to kind of get everything going and quite like clockwork. But kudos to all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good Friday and a great weekend ahead, and happy holidays. And we'll be in touch. Thank you so very much.
Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Yes, congrats again. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.